the young men I see and how I interact with them. You know, I I have a bit of an obsession with my masculinity, mostly because being raised by my mom and living in a household full of women, like looking back and I'm self-aware enough about who I am and how I present myself to the world and how I think that I am disassociated with my masculinity in a way. It's just because I never had as many interactions with men my own age growing up. I think I've came to about par right now in my life currently, but I definitely growing up, I had a very hard time identifying with other boys, you know. But at this point in time, I feel like I've come a bit full circle. So, but I mainly want to talk about the young men I see nowadays, young men I'm interacting with, and how I assume they perceive me. Now, growing up, I was a bit of a lame, bit socially awkward, things like that. I was a bit lame, socially awkward. I couldn't really identify with other men. I had a little easier time to identify with other females, was because I grew up with other females. But growing up now, I don't know why. I have a bit more confidence and learning the things I learned, uh, learning things about Black community, basically listening to all the guys on Gen X, um, and listening to their conversations, and also just I I didn't realize it, but I actually I was reading Claude Anderson's book back when I was like 14 years old, like uh, Black Labor, White Wealth, and because my mom would read that to me, and I didn't realize like at the time because I was also homeschooled at that time, like that this was some deep stuff for a 13-year-old to be reading. And I couldn't really wrap my head around it at the time, but around I was 16, 17, I started understanding the impact of it, especially when I was 18, I was kind of full blown in the conversation on Gen X, like everything started to click. I finally started to understand how I fit, how people perceive me, and how my place in the world, locally and globally, is. I'm a Black man. No matter what, I can't escape the fact that I'm a Black man. It took me till I was like 17, 18 to realize that, but the situation is what it is. I'm a Black man. Other men on the street, they can't they can't escape it, and so you're going to be perceived as a Black man, and all of the stereotypes and perceptions that come along with that. And me being, I kind of I didn't talk with any type of slang or nothing like that. I was just, I was just a stereotypical lame, stereotypical Oreo type dude. But now that I kind of matured a little bit, I have some information to pass on to these other young dudes that are like between the ages of like 19 and 23. You know, I kind of like other young guys start looking at me as kind of like a lead, like I won't say leader, but just if I just know that if I was positioned to offer them something, like some type of financial gain, like a job, career, whatever, some type of economic opportunity, they would be ready to jump on board, just like that. Because the young men I meet on the streets nowadays, there are basically three. One of them is just straight up Ray Ray and Pookie, just totally hooded out, streeted out, bought into the culture, just fuck boys, you know, as I like to call them. Just totally just caught up. They just all caught up in the game. You know, second ones are lames like myself, which I actually, it's funny, like, maybe I just haven't been hanging around like the major campuses in my area, but I don't meet other like quote unquote black lames like that. Like I'm kind of a weird dude with my interests and stuff like that. I realized that I kind of don't run into other like black, young black intellectuals or like that. The main black guys I run into at this point in time are I like just call them. I just caught in the middle. They're kind of the middle of the road. Or some of them lean more towards the lame side, but they're not quite there. And other guys kind of lean more towards the hood culture stuff. You know, but they're all most of the guys I meet at this between the ages of 18 and 23. They're neutral. They're neutral, and they're kind of just wherever their position in life, their socioeconomic status, kind of going to lead them towards any which direction. You know, and while I'm interacting with these young guys in school, at work, I'm trying to just tell them like, hey, don't get too caught up in the glam and glam of of these women like that, because the guy, like, just me and every other young guy, we all know our main motivation for getting up in the mornings for pussy. I mean, shit, it's cool, it's warm, it's all that good stuff. But that's the main motivation for everything. For these young guys I'm meeting, they're motivated by women. You know, and so I'm trying to tell them that don't get too caught up in your attraction. I try to send like a little manipulative message, so I don't want to go too preachy. I kind of want to appeal to the male ego a little bit, say, don't get too caught up in these women just by being all swagged out. Women are really attracted to power. Like that's how I come. That's how I come at talking to young guys. Like if you want the real women, legit women, women are going to be for you though. You have to have some type of power. You have to have something you want to pass on. Some guys I talk to, they don't. They hear what I'm saying, but they're like, I ain't trying to have no kids and nothing like that. But it's funny. It's funny, like the guys, all the middle of the roaders, the neutral guys that I talk to, that kind of be ready to sway one way or the other. All of them, they're planning on going to school for business, and like they're trying to come into their own. I don't know if this is a new thing. I don't know how older guys, if they were younger, they always wanted to start their own business. But almost every single young guy I meet, between ages of 18, 23, they say, I need to start my own business. I need to start my own business. I need to start my own business. I want to start a clothing business. I want to start this and that. Maybe it's just youthful naivety. Maybe it's just idealistic. But shoot, there's a lot of guys that I meet that really want to start their own business. And I hate like the burst the bubble sometimes, because all of them say, I want to go to school for business. I'm going to get business management degree. I'm like, dude, I every time I run into these guys, I say to them like all the time, like, dude, you don't need a degree to start a business. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, a business degree is just a degree so you can work for someone else's business. Because all these neutral guys I talk to, they're always saying, I just don't want to work for anybody. I don't want to work for anybody. They're not talking about white people or any other group of people. They're just talking about, I just don't want to work for anybody. I want to be my own boss. But I have to tell them, like, that degree, it just solidifies you working for someone else. You can start a business today. go downtown, get your business license certificate and stuff like that. I need to learn about this stuff because actually I'm about to start working. I'm actually about to try to start my own business here. So I'm looking into all that stuff. Getting my license, need to get my name, set up a tax ID, a whole bunch of shit. But that I don't know anything about. But those are the guys I mostly run into nowadays are the middle of the roaders, the neutral guys. And they're just waiting to be swayed one way or the other. And that's why, like, I feel like, and when they look at me, they look at, because I am such an extreme, like, quirky, geeky, nerdy-ass dude, they see me as, like, the educated, lame dude. And I don't know, I feel like it's and the older guys, men in their 50s, 40s, they treat me the same way, especially at the workplace. It's like, hey, I just know, man, that you're gonna go far one day. And I see the other young dudes when they say that to me and not them. I see them looking at me, and they say like, yeah, but they're looking at me and see where I'll go. They're looking at me and see if I'll falter, will I acquire power, and what will I do when I acquire it. So, excuse me if I'm breathing like hard while I'm talking. I pace when I'm talking. So, yeah, I'm doing like a lot of moving around right now. I'm very energetic when I'm talking like this. But they look at me and they're looking at what I'm going to do. And so it feels like a lot of pressure. And I just, at this point in my life, I don't want to prove them wrong. I want to prove to them I want to show them how you get power. How you be a player in this world. Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. I want to have children one day. I want to be a fucking man of power. I want to be a player in this world. That is my goal. I've bought into this whole Gen X conversation of you need to be a man of power. You need to be a player. You need to be building the infrastructure and laying down the foundation for everything. If you ain't willing to do it, you're a fucking coward. I kind of bought into that in my head. Whether or not they'll send me down the wrong road or not, I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, that's how young guys, how it feels like they're perceiving me sometimes just by the way they speak to me. Because every time I meet some of these neutral guys, I try to give them as much advice as possible. Like, hey, this is the trade to get into, or no, don't stay away from this trade. Like, it sucks. I wanted to be like, they're saying, hey, they want to be an electrician. I'm like, yeah, go for it. But here in Pittsburgh, the Italians kind of have the electrician trade locked down. They have electrician and masonry jobs locked down. So, like, every black guy I meet that's already in the electrician or masonry trade, they can't get no work. They have no work. They're fucking broke. Electricians get paid hell of money. Electricians get paid so much money, but these older black guys don't get paid any work. So I try to steer them in the right direction. Really, from where I'm located, it feels like the only trades you can get into as a black guy and not get blackballed like that is carpentry and plumbing. Carpentry, I would be cool with. I was actually thinking about that. My dad was telling me to get into one of the trades. But my God, the school is so fucking far away. I mean, it was like, I live in Pittsburgh. It's in like Bridgeville, down past the river, like damn near a county away. And the buses there take like fucking hour or two, and it's like it's iffy. It's cool getting there, but it's iffy coming back. It's like it's not reliable. At least from where I'm looking at, it's not reliable. It's not worth it. So yeah, and the plumbing school ain't no better. Only one that's like local I can get into is the iron worker. So I just said screw the trades. But the way, yeah, I feel like there's hope. I feel like a lot of the older guys, Sergeant Willie Pete, uh, Yonks, Captain Solo, Pink Elephant. I think just off my just off my quick glance, because like I said, I haven't been interacting with other men for that long. Only like in the last 4 years, I've been like just straight up just trying to get a grasp on how of interacting with other young black men and trying to work with them. I feel like things aren't that doom and gloom because a lot of these guys they want to be for their own. They don't want to work for somebody else. You know. So I don't know. We'll see. It's my goal. I really want to get in a position of power as fast as possible. Get in a position where I'm providing for myself because unfortunately I still lose my mom right now. Yeah, yeah, that sucks. But I got a couple things in the works, and I just need to get in a position to provide for myself as soon as possible. Because when I do that and I have disposable income to actually start making moves, then I'll be in just one little micro inch, one little micro inch in a position of power. So I don't know. That's the way so far I see other young black men perceiving me. That's how I perceive them. I'm seeing a lot of guys in the middle, and depending on where their social economic standing is, whether or not they lean more towards middle class or just super poor, a lot of guys are kind of like, you know, upper low class. I'm meeting. Um, and depending on how long they're going to be stuck working these shitty ass minimum wage jobs, because that's why I'm working, that's why I'm meeting all these guys working shitty ass minimum wage jobs. I see them and they're getting fucking depressed as fuck. The longer they stay in these shitty ass jobs and time is moving on, they're getting more anxious. I see it. I see it. They're like, yo, fuck this. Even I said, like, fuck this. Shoot, where's some crack at? I can sling. I can flip that shit in a second. But I mean, hell yeah, they're waiting. They're waiting for the moment to jump on it. And I feel like that's the people you need to get, the middle of the roaders, the guys that aren't completely, because the lame dudes I meet, they're kind of bought into some bullshit. Like they're kind of bought into the whole multiculturalism, integration type thing. Just a few that I meet, I meet a couple of them that are conscious, and they're typically older, like 27 and up, but they got careers, they got a wife, they're about to have a kid, they're on it. I don't know where they're living, but they seem to be pretty conscious of the situation a little bit. They're not using the same terms that we're all using, like generational wealth. Well, they use wealth, but not generational wealth. They don't use terms like infrastructure and stuff like that. But I feel like their heads in the right place and their goals is in the right are leading to the right direction. They're men I can work with. But when it comes to talking to these young guys, look for the middle of the road. The guys that are not all thugged out, and the guys that aren't all multicultural, political correct out. I would say PC'd out. They're all politically correct out. So those are the young men I'm meeting, and when they see me, I think they see me as a wild card. I don't know. I guess that's the only thing I can think of. They see me as a wild card, and hopefully I'm getting in position really soon because I want to be able to help these guys out and I can work with them. I mean, shit. Something fucking crazy. I talked to. I've been on X. I stopped playing Xbox Live a couple years ago, but there's this one guy, this Puerto Rican guy. I know I played with him all the time. We got to know each other. We're cool beans. He lives in North Carolina, and he got into the Army and stuff like that. And we made a promise to each other saying, yo, 4 years from now, after he gets done with the Army and I get done with school or whatever I'm going to do, we're going to go into real estate together. That was our promise to each other. When we get into the position, we're going to save us some money and get into real estate together. We made that bet. We made that bet with each other, that promise to each other. So I'm like, if I can make that type of deal with a Puerto Rican guy who's all Jesused out, and he's Jesus the fucked out, but I just ignore it. I'm like, hey, if he's talking business, he's speaking my language. If I can make that deal with him, I can make deals with my own guys. So that's my video. Peace. Take care.